So I'm very happy to be here. And the new technology that we are bringing to the bioelectronic world. We are going to present here. I say we because I always talk in front of my team. We have a fantastic team. A new approach with optoelectronic to treat vagus nerve stimulation, and the goal is to treat resistant epileptic patients. Obviously, you will see that we have many other options, as it was presented earlier this morning. VNS is a fantastic, vagus nerve is a fantastic nerve that we can work on, and we have a specific reason why we have chosen to start with epilepsy. And you see in this first slide also that there are some optical fibers. Actually, that was the origin of our company when we created the company 7 years back. It was with the aim of stimulating not with electricity, but stimulating with light. And you might have heard about optogenetics. That was obviously one possibility, but we wanted to stimulate, in our case, we wanted to stimulate the nerve, not with electricity, but with light, because we believed at that time, and it's still the case, that we still believe, that it's a far better way to stimulate the nerve, being more ballistic and more precise in the approach. Having said that, when we started, we managed to stimulate the sciatic nerve of a rat. The problem is that the size of the laser that we were using was in a shoebox, and that was obviously not implantable. And even with as a wearable, as we discussed that before, even that option was not possible. So we decided, after 2 years of research, to pivot the company and to keep on working with light, and that's why we are using now optoelectronic, because we are actually transforming light into electricity, and I will explain how we do that. So as I explained, first indication that we have chosen is drug-resistant epilepsy, because it's a very important and under-treated condition that hampers the life of millions of people. So there is, for the drug-resistant epileptic people, they have no solution at all. That means that they have a seizure anywhere and anytime during their life, and that represents 30% of the total epilepsy patient population. So if we take the total population and limit on the drug-resistant epileptic patient, 60% can be treated by surgery, which, as you can imagine, is very invasive, because it's a resection surgery. So it's a brain surgery where we remove a part of the epileptic zone. And 40% are eligible for the last resort option, which is neural stimulation. And as you might know, the current player in that field is an American company that merged with a European company, a Franco-Italian company, I think 4 or 5 years ago. And they apply the same treatment since more than 30 years. And that treatment is has major limitations. The first major limitation is that everybody received the same treatment. So it's a one-size-fits-all approach. There is no personalization, and the therapy efficacy is not measurable just by having the patient feedback. That's the only way to measure the efficacy of the therapy. The second biggest and a very important constraint is a technical constraint. When I started exploring that area, and I remember having the head of neurology and epilepsy division in Frankfurt Hospital. It's a huge hospital, biggest one in Germany. And Professor Rosnow told me that one major limitation not implanting VNS for this last resort solution for the patient was because it was metallic. And because of that, it couldn't go to MRI scans. So how can you imagine the biggest German hospital that was actually refusing implanting children because of that major constraint? Another important constraint that we noticed when discussing with key opinion leaders in the field is that you need to replace the battery every 3 to 4 years. So if you implant a 4-year-old child, it will have at least 5, 6, 7 surgeries during his lifetime just for replacement, which is a huge constraint. And when you are a parent and you envisage implanting a child, and you said, okay, every 3, 4 years, we need to go for an extra new surgery, that's a big constraint. And the last biggest constraint is that there is only one manufacturer worldwide that has a very limited market penetration, 14% is our estimation, for that specific patient population. So we invented that solution, and I explained how we came to that solution. It's a real breakthrough innovation. So we use optoelectronics and some customized accessories to treat in a personalized way the target nerve, which is the vagus nerve. And it will be the first ever and only neurostimulator that will be safe to use in MRI. So how do we do that? That's a little technology presentation. So we replace the electrical wire by optical fibers, and the IPG, the implanted pulse generator, is made of quartz instead of classic titanium can. So it's easy and safe to use in MRIs, so you don't need to turn it on and off and on. There is no limited zone in the brain scan, for instance. No timing limits. And you see in my slide, I have a safe and easy to use in MRI and fMRI, so functional MRI. That's really important because it's really opening the door for understanding what is happening while you're stimulating. So by doing MRI scans, we can, with our device, we can stimulate the nerve and have an effect in the brain and see that effect. So that really opens the door for research community. And talking to Michael Sperling, who is our neurologist in Philadelphia, that is actually part of our medical advisory board. I mean, he's desperately waiting for that type of device to be available to really explore and understand what is happening. As I said, our competitor has parameters that has been set on a few pigs approximately 30 years ago, and those parameters haven't changed since then. We opened the door for personalized treatment. That's very important. Rechargeable battery, that's what I explained before, extending definitely the device lifespan, and also allow more complex and power-consuming treatments. That's very important because our IPG being made of glass, we also embedded some sensors that are able to measure with light inside the body some biomarkers that can be used for closed-loop stimulation. And again, this is very power-consuming treatment type, and the fact that we have developed a very efficient rechargeable battery. And when I say very efficient, we can recharge the battery once a week in less than 10 minutes. We do have a tunable stimulation and sensing capabilities. That means that we are really patient-centric and adapted to individual needs. And last but not least, but we have made a strong emphasis on the size of the implants and on friendly remote controls and alarms that will improve the safety and the quality of life of the patient. When we designed our platform, we really thought about bringing a value proposition for each stakeholder. Obviously, the patient is the most important one with what I said, the optimized and personalized parameter system, improve quality of life. The physicians, because we want the physicians to be empowered by AI-assisted treatment and monitoring. And as I explained with functional MRI, a better understanding and the ability to correlate neurostimulation parameter with brain activity and clinical outcomes. Of course, the society is also part of the game because we remove worries, stress, stigma, and by having a rechargeable battery, reduce healthcare cost by an estimated 50% of the current cost. Finally, obviously, an important stakeholder is also the hospitals, because there will be fewer patients left without a solution, and definitely reduce personal workload and surgical costs that we bring with our technology. There is a huge market potential. It is estimated to be a 1.15 million patient which is our serviceable, obtainable market with those 40% VNS candidates. And obviously, there is a potential for scale up. As I explained, our competitor has a very limited market penetration of that serviceable, obtainable market of 14%. Talking about competition or competitive landscape, I don't want to name them, but the name is on the slide. Little joke about that. When we started our activity in Belgium, there is a special law in Belgium that prevent us saying what we do on our website until we are approved on the market. So we had put on our website all this list that we have a safe and unrestricted access to MRI, dosing-based objective, personalized therapy, minimal number of replacement, reduced side effect, and smartwatch patient controller. And we got a nice lawyer's letter coming from the company that I don't say the name, saying that, well, you are not authorized to do that. And that was back 4 years ago. And obviously, some of my shareholders were a bit afraid. So, oh, we have a lawyer's letter. I said, no, don't worry. That these are all only lawyers, and I'm very happy because that means that they know that we are existing. At that time, we were a 5-people company. Now we are a 25-people company, and we made our life through all these technological challenges. Of course, there are other industry players in our competitive landscape. Neuropace and Medtronic are active in epilepsy, and in neurostimulation in global, Abbott and Boston Scientific could also be interested in the platform that we are developing, because I will show you that we have a clear platform. So we have done the preclinical validation. Of course, the most of the work initially was to prove that we are able to send an electrical current with a photovoltaic cell, because that's the right engineering term that we're using for this converter that transforms light into electricity. We invented a very miniaturized solar panel, and we wanted to make sure that this solar panel, this photovoltaic cell, can deliver the right current. Right. Of course, we needed to test the MRI compatibility up to 7 Tesla. That's fully proven. We start, as I said, the small animal study on rats. And since almost 2 years now, we are doing a lot of sheep studies to measure to confirm the safety, the implantability, the biocompatibility of our implants. Our game plan, I would say, is to finish our GLP study according to FDA standard. First in human is planned in the beginning of 2023, and we will run a full-fledged RCT pivotal clinical study in United States and in Europe to get FDA approval and CE marking by Q1 26. The beauty of our technology is that, as you understood, we've selected a first target therapy, but as it was said before, VNS can be used for many things, and our platform can be also adapted to other many neuromodulation therapies that are available there. I mentioned that when we created the company, my co-founder Pascal and I, we were just 2 of us. Pascal is the founder and the inventor of the technology. One of his previous device was acquired by Imtera Medical, which is now Livanova. I myself have a long history of startup creation and investing. I've got a world-renowned medical advisory board that is led by Dr. Levy, who is the immediate past president of the INS, the International Neuromodulation Society, as you all know, obviously. And we have very good and professional board of directors. Of course, I'm very proud to say that Sophie is leading as chairperson our board of directors. And Denis has a very long experience from the companies that were mentioned before, ending up selling Synergia to Abbott. He was the one and only president that was non-US president. He's a French citizen. As a recap, we have the first industry-first non-metallic optoelectronic neurostimulatор to treat neurological disease. We have tested everything on animals: safety, implantability, biocompatibility, functionality. And the first in human is planned end of this year. Therefore, we need to raise money, not for the first in human, but for the Series B is intended for all the clinical studies that will be run after that. Very important, identified and important patient population. We are very proud of our intellectual property because we have 14 patent families that have been filed, out of which 8 are granted. That's a patent portfolio of 120 patents worldwide that have been granted. Thank you very much.
Thank you.